Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets. The crackdown in San Francisco, homeless encampments are being cleared after Governor Newsom's executive order. You want to see it? Here it is. It's kind of heartbreaking, actually. It's not something that's fun to watch. So these are the poorest people, I would say, in the country, and they didn't give them any warning, and they just come and start taking their shit, and they wouldn't let them pack their tents up. So
wow, President Xi's getting there that quick?
No kidding, right?
Hey, Please relax.
Okay.
So that's a really well-trained San Francisco Police Department officer. He understands there's no better way to de-escalate a tense situation with an agitated person than to keep screaming "relax" at them.
That's how I relax. I have a cop scream "relax" at me over and over when he throws my shit out.
Oh.
He throws all my. It's like a prison cell tossing.
Yeah, exactly what this is like.
They come in anytime they want and just mess up your stuff. And the thing that's funny is, you could have maybe done anything to help the situation in the last 20 years.
Right.
Back when Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. I first heard of him years ago because he handled San Francisco's homeless problem so poorly. He pushed everybody into one set. Everybody was talking about how he had pushed everybody in this one horrible section of town. And then he became governor, and that became the state. And now it's like in The Princess Bride, the Brute Squad is going to crackheads. It's like sweeping someone under the couch, like the live action version, the literal version of it.
So I don't know what. So let's listen. Let's watch the rest of this. It doesn't get any better. He keeps yelling, "Relax." And a police officer is heard telling a homeless person that Mayor Governor Newsom says homeless encampments are no more. That's what he's saying to him. There are no more. It's not about my life, it's about our lives together. Encampments were not notified of the sweep ahead of time, as previously had been the norm. So they just showed up and started taking everybody, they keep taking their shit. Like that, could there be a worse way to do this? Could there be a worse way to do that? To me, that seems like a bad way to do it.
Well, is it because Newsom's definitely not going to be the president now? So he's like, okay, I'll go back and pretend to do something about this homeless thing.
I don't know what exactly is motivating him to allow this to happen. I don't know.
We sure would be great if they didn't have that missing $23 billion to help these people out.
So they according to Newsom, they had already spent or reports they've already spent somewhere around $24 billion on homelessness. Now, if you do a little back of the envelope math on that, Kurt, if there's 107, they say there's 170, 180,000 homeless people in America. I'm not a math surgeon, but if you got them a $2,000 a month apartment, each one of those people, each person, which we know you could put 3 or 4 people in one, but anyway, let's just say each person, you could give them a rent for 106 months for that $24 billion. If you got them each an apartment.
Even accounting for graft, you could still do it.
You could still do it. So, but they did nothing. They can't tell you. They can't show you anything they did. So now all they're doing is they're going out of there and they're clearing encampments, and they're just taking their shit. Like that's not an orderly way to do it. Yes, we've got to have order back in the city, but we've got the money. Well, here, let me
I just want to also add that I'm kind of surprised that there's no compassionate services that are attending to this sweep.
You'd think there'd be people there to help them, right along with the cop and the people stealing their shit and throwing it in the back of a garbage truck. You'd think there'd also be people there to go, here's we have a shelter for you.
Wait, these people didn't catch Newsom talking about it on internet before he did it?
Did he say ship them? Did he say ship them to Tahoe?
Is that where do the people go? That's what I always wonder. Where do they send them?
That's why I don't know. Where are they supposed to go? Did you hear that there was an undercover recording of him saying ship people to Tahoe?
No.
I didn't. No, okay, that's made up then. Okay.
Okay.
But here's the San Francisco Standard says aggressive homeless camps sweep begins in San Francisco. Okay. Very aggressive homeless encampment sweeps has recently touted by Mayor London Breed. What a name. Began Tuesday morning in San Francisco following a major U.S. Supreme Court ruling. The Standard, the newspaper, witnessed aggressive enforcement action under the Central Freeway carried out by police, the Department of Public Works, the Department of Emergency Management, homeless outreach team. They say there was a homeless outreach team there, Steph, and San Francisco Fire Department. They say.
Where they hold their belongings just out of reach?
Yeah, right? San Francisco, it went from the mamas and the papas to the paupers and the coppers. Am I right? Come on. Go ahead, Kurt. What?
Well, it's just like, it is the worst way, because what you do is leave the problem so that it's dangerous for the people that are homed there, so that they're getting sick of it, right? Not spending any of the money helping anybody. And when you finally come and brutally clear them out, who's going to be mad? Who's going to be mad besides this show? Everybody else is like, yeah, get them out. Because they're already fed up. It's just like and you steal all the money. It's like really a perfect plan.
So homeless people were not notified of the sweep ahead of time, as has previously been the norm, according to a schedule of encampment clearings and a city official who was on the scene. Tiffany Tannehill was watching over friends' belongings when the sweep started on 13th Street. She said city workers showed up around 9:30 a.m., and she has Tannehill, who has recently landed a homeless shelter bed, said she was given 15 minutes to gather all three of her friends' belongings, but was not allowed to disassemble and pack up the tent. One of the DPW workers, the Department of Public Works workers, started hollering past me. "I'm taking everything today," Tannehill said. They were adamant there wasn't going to be enough time to pack up the tent.
So that means the directive came from above that by this time you better have everybody out.
Yeah.
And then now the lowest level employees, right? Like whatever cops still work and the sanitation people have to hit their like if you worked in retail, you had to hit your sales numbers.
That's right.
So, I mean, it's really the worst leadership ever.
City staff had previously given notice to encampment occupants days before conducting a clearing. In a video captured by the Standard, a police officer can be heard explaining to a person whose belongings have just been thrown onto a truck bed that encampments are no more. We just showed you that. London Breed, the mayor, and Governor Newsom has said no more on the streets. No more. So that we showed you that's what that cop was saying. The actions taken by the city likely stem from a routine court procedure finalized today. At the beginning of the month, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned a local injunction that limited how aggressive the city could be in its sweeps, part of a lawsuit filed in 2022 by the Coalition on Homelessness. The appeals court overturned the injunction as a direct result of the Supreme Court's decision, which allows cities more power to clear encampments. On Tuesday, the appeals officially modified the injunction to be in line with the June Supreme Court ruling. Nisha Kenshap, an attorney representing the Coalition of Homelessness in the suit against the city, called the sweeps alarming and unacceptable. The city's conduct blatantly violates the existing injunction against property destruction and disregards its own laws and policies that mandate advance notice and the provision of shelter and services. By ignoring the injunction, the city is not only acting unlawfully, but also stripping people of their basic survival necessities, making it harder for them to exit homelessness. I'm not a social worker. I'm not a social scientist. But it seems to me when you take all that guy's shit away, just like in the manner you're doing it, that guy is now going to turn to crime. So I say that the way that they're doing this is going to increase crime in San Francisco, at least.
Well, not only that, the people that aren't even physically able to do crime because they're hooked on the fentanyl that I'm sure our intel agencies brought here like they always do, It's like it's another message of go die. The same as bringing in fentanyl. Hey, go die. Screw you, go die. That's their whole. And by the way, whoever this is from whatever homeless thing, I don't trust them either, because this problem should have been fixed a long time ago, and it's not this complicated. It really isn't. And you could, well, they don't want to get off drugs. Okay, well, put them in some house and let them do drugs in the house, because it's better than in the street and it's cheaper. So now it's a humanitarian disaster because none of them want to do their job.
A statement from the mayor's office said the city's street response will consist of offers of services and support on a daily basis, targeted encampment resolutions, and coordinated efforts to prevent re-encampments and new areas from being encamped. Well, I mean, it doesn't seem to be working out that way, but in a memo shared Tuesday by the mayor's office, officials said they seek to prevent encampments from cropping up again once they have been cleared. District police station officers will conduct regular canvasses of the areas to identify any encampments and then work with. So there's 171,000 at least homeless people in California. Do they have housing for those people? And where are they putting money into drug treatment centers and mental health facilities? Because that would be very helpful. Also, if we had universal health care in California, that would help save a lot of people from actually becoming homeless, because people get sick, they go bankrupt with their medical bills, and then they become homeless. That's a big problem. So, of course, this whole state is run by Democrats, right? So if you think voting for Democrat is going to turn your state into a utopia where everybody has a job and health care and the homeless state, that's not true. They are just as bought and paid for by the oligarchy as Republican governments are. Just so you know.
I just vote on which actors are cooler.
What is it? What's that?
I vote on which actors are cooler.
Yeah, me too. So also, I just want to let you know that of the top 10 California billionaires, 9 of them live in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh.
Yeah.
So glad to know they're clearing out the real criminals. The memo,
and they do all kinds of charity, right? To like, hey, we got to put vaccines in people and do all this other stuff. Never want to help with that because, well, those people could just die. Screw them.
So here's the memo from the mayor's office that also outlines the consequences for individuals if they continue to camp on the city streets and refuse shelter. They're going to give them citations and possible arrest.
So shelter?
For shelter.
So they're going to give them shelter if they don't do.
So they're going to give them shelter if they. But by the way, that's the most expensive form of shelter you can get, because to lock up a person in prison in California, it used to be, I used to quote $70,000 per inmate. I think it's now up to $100,000. Can you check me on that? I think it's $100,000 a year. So instead,
it's a six-figure income.
So instead of locking someone up for being homeless and camping, which would cost $100,000 a year, why wouldn't you just go give them a $2,000 a month voucher to go find an apartment?
Cal Matters says that it's $132,000 per inmate in California.
Okay, so now it's it's $132,000 per inmate in California a year.
Oh, well, okay, but how can I skim the money off the top and just give them like scraps and garbage? So if we do the way you're saying,
so
I don't want to fix it. I make money off that.
I'm pretty sure that's the prison industrial complex at work there, and the slave labor and all that stuff.
We don't want to disrupt that.
And the government pays for their housing.
White guys for Kamala. We don't want to disrupt.
And of course, the government paying for it makes it cost way more than it should. It should cost somewhere around $30,000 a year. So but if the government does it, it costs $130,000 a year. So
and then what are they spending on illegal immigrants? Like $1 million a year? Like,
I mean, why?
They do it,
seriously, why wouldn't they just give vouchers? So I think the argument against that would be, or one of them anyway, would be, well, then that would just, the landlords everybody would just raise their rents, right? Anyway,
I guess there's no way to control that whatsoever.
Yeah, right. So we'll see. We'll let it play out a little bit more, but it looks like they're doing it again in a horrible way. And you're right. The homeless industrial complex is also a real thing. Where did that $24 billion go? And, where it goes to is like this. So the government says, we have to feed these homeless people. So let's have a program to feed homeless people in our city. So what they do is they don't just go do that. They don't appoint somebody who works for the government and is accountable. They give that to a private corporation.
Yes.
So then a private corporation then gives them ramen noodles 3 times a day, which is literally what they were doing in Los Angeles. I just found out.
Jesus Christ.
They were giving them ramen noodles and then charging the city, millions and billions of dollars.
The mafia would be cheaper and more ethical than how they do it. The Italian mafia would give them more than ramen.
Jimmy,
So they have in New York.
I'm looking at the Hoover Institute, and they said that California has failed to consistently track the ongoing costs and outcomes of its homeless service programs.
Of course, because it's in their. My nephew and Connor worked for NBC News in Chicago, and he found out that all the migrants that they were now housing at police stations, they were contracting out like healthcare for them, and they were being charged was $30,000. Was it $3,000 a week or $30,000? Some crazy amount for one nurse.
I thought it was $70,000 for that one nurse.
It was some.
We covered that story. I remember that story.
You remember that story? I can't remember the exact number, but it was like mental. And of course, all that money's going right in the pocket of whoever that guy is who owns that company, because they made a donation to the Democratic Party in Chicago, and that's how they
their
get
brother-in-law or something.
That's right, and that's how they get their contract and all. And so they're not there to solve a problem; they're there to grift off a problem.
That's why I like people who fight over Democrat or Republican, because it really doesn't matter as long as you have a crime family running everything.
That's right.
So all these people, government can't get it done. Well, if you don't have a mafia as your government,
right,
but they could get it done for cheaper.
Okay, over to Steph.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy. It's really, really troubling. I'm a native Californian, and I've never seen this degree of homelessness. And it's terrible, that even last night we were in Santa Monica and a homeless gentleman was approaching us. And it's like, you want to move through life with compassion, but you also don't know how well this person is. And it felt threatening at one point. So, when I'm reading all this stuff on different articles right now, Jimmy, as you're doing this, that California, no oversight over the billions of dollars, no oversight, no data collected,
like Ukraine,
no oversight,
just like the hundreds of.
Who is that convenient for? Back to Jimmy.
That's right. It's for the criminals who actually run things, which is the donor class. It's not your politicians. Your politicians work for the donor class. Okay, the handful of billionaires who run the country.
Ukraine was probably more ethical with the money we gave them than California.
Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.